It's Shannon with Phenomenal Water again, and I wanted to cover something because this comes up all the time. There are many disease conditions, for example, gout, diabetes, long-term staph infections like staph and MRSA, GERD disease, acid reflux. These are all very, very common conditions. We all know about them, we all hear about them, and a lot of times on the internet there'll be a lot of conversation that Phenomenal is a cure for this or a cure for that, and I wanted to cover that because it's really not fair. It's not fair to the public, and of course, making medical claims about Phenomenal is not fair either. So let's just say for gout, is Phenomenal a cure for gout? Well, no, and let me explain why. All of those disease conditions that I just mentioned, one way or the other, there are too much acidity in the body. And what that means is there's too much hydrogen in the body. If you Google quite a few doctors, you could find the quote many, many, many times. It says, acid is disease. That's a pretty bold statement. 3 letters, right? Acid is disease. Whoa. Well, why? How? Well, it's because we are aerobic creatures. We live on oxygen. That's our whole job, is breathing in oxygen, throwing out the acidity. Not that all acids are bad, but we just accumulate too much over time. And when our body starts getting tired and wearing down, we get more acid, and we get more acid. And so, for example, like gout is uric acid. And uric acid, for whatever reason, if the body could get rid of those uric acid crystals, it would, man. Boom, like that. It doesn't want them, it doesn't like them, it knows it shouldn't be there, but it's behind. And so what happens is that crystal forms, and for whatever reason, usually it's the big toe or the ankle or in, your joints, and all of a sudden they just start grinding in between the joints, and oh man, that would hurt. So what are you going to do to get rid of it? Well, there's all sorts of halfway cures and things like that to get rid of it, but the real base of the problem is too much hydrogen. It's too much acidity. Phenomenal, big oxygen, it usually has 2 hydrogens on a water. We've removed one, so it's literally missing hydrogen. When you drink it, your body says, thank you so much. That's what I needed. And so it's, I got too much acidity down here. Boop, 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 takes it apart, gone. Is that a cure for gout? Well, no, because the reason why it got there in the first place is not gone. Does the person get relief? Yeah, pretty quick, but it's not a cure for a disease. It's not a cure for gout because the problem will still, but if you have an antidote, well, then that's fantastic. What about, like, for example, an ongoing staph infection? These poor people, if you got like a staph or MRSA infection and it goes on and on and on and on, it's horrible. And the reason why their life is so difficult is because they have a bacteria that lives in their blood, it consumes sugar, and it produces what's called D-lactic acid, which is an unnatural type of lactic acid. What that means, lactic acid in the body, acid, and their blood literally can't carry the type of oxygen it should. Lactic acid is extremely toxic to the body, and the body can't get rid of it fast enough. So they live in an acid condition. It's called lactic acidosis or even sepsis. If the body could get out of it, boom, it would. Now you drink Phenomenal, which is missing acid, it's missing hydrogen, wham! The relief is immediate and it's beautiful. Is it a cure? No, the problem is the bacteria's in the blood. It didn't have anything to do with that, but the toxic side effect, it definitely had an effect on. Is that a medical claim? No, it's just chemistry. It's just what happens. What about diabetes? Diabetics, I'm not claiming to even understand what happens with, the blood sugars and up and down, but I do know this, is that in that process, as just like a staph infection, D-lactic acid in massive amounts is produced. The reason why diabetics, let's say they lose toes, is because they lose circulation. They say, well, there's no circulation down at their feet. No, bull, there's plenty of circulation. There's no oxygen in the blood. The blood's still pumping, the blood's still down there. It's just that the toes are the furthest away from your lungs, and the blood literally can't carry oxygen. The other side of oxygen is acidity or hydrogen. You drink Phenomenal, and the relief is immediate because it binds, it turns back into water, and it's gone. So the ability to put oxygen back in the blood, that's fantastic. Do we make that claim? No. Try it. Tell me if I'm wrong. That's fine. But it's not a cure for diabetes. That's a whole different thing. GERD disease or acid reflux, it's the same thing. In other words, your stomach is producing too much acidity. Of quite often it's a relief. It is not a cure for GERDs, and it's not a cure for any of these other things, but it's a tool. You got to understand, it's just a tool that can help many, many people. And the biggest thing is, of course, aging, because we create acidity as we get older. So removing that toxic burden, even if you're healthy as a horse, just helping the body out, just simply drinking water with Phenomenal in it, removes the toxic burden of acidity, and you just live better. So with that said, thank you. Enjoy your Phenomenal, live a healthy lifestyle, and enjoy.